Okay, here we go. Let's get cracking. So, you just start with the fact that the Mishnah says in Pirkei Avos in the 5th chapter, hafach ba, which I used to say incorrectly, hafach ba, but it's actually hafach ba, which means what? Turn it and turn it. The kula ba. Everything is in it. Everything is in the Torah. Everything. You know, there was once a story that they said about the Vilna Gaon, that the Vilna Gaon had said, this great rabbi said that everything is found in Bereshis, in Parshas Bereshis. It's the first Parshas of Torah, everything is found. Your name, your birthday, what's going to happen in your life, everything is in there. Okay, encoded, whatever. The idea is that everything is in there. They say, well, what's the purpose? Can I learn it? Can I not? No, maybe you can't learn it, you can't figure it out yourself, but the bottom line is that everything is found in the Torah. So what we find is that, okay, why? Because the Torah is everything, essentially. The Torah is the blueprint for creation. God, the first thing that was the Torah, and then he looked into the Torah and he created the world. Right? The world is just a manifestation of the Torah itself, which incidentally is how Avram Avinu, one of the explanations, how could Abraham, how could Avram have kept the entire Torah, as the Gemara says, in 2 places, in Yom 28 as well as Kedushin 82, says that he kept the whole Torah. The Torah wasn't even given. How could you have kept it? Answer is that, well, it all depends on your level of how high level architect you are. What I mean by that is, has anyone here ever studied architecture, by any chance? No? Okay, good, so I can make it whatever I want. I've been an architect for many years now, and let me share with you some of my projects that have occurred. There's something called a Spinozer. Does anybody know what that is? Good, because I happen to have made it up, but the concept is, can you imagine a person who works as an architect, they can look at blueprints, and by looking at the blueprints they can see the world. And I didn't mean to say that, I jumped. By looking at the blueprints they can see the building, they can see the house, they can see the room. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Someone's been an architect for 10 years, even a year, right? After doing it over and over and over again, you look at it and you can, in your mind's eye, see what the room is going to look like. The same thing is the flip. If they look at a room, or they look at a building, they look at a house, they can see in their mind's eye what the blueprints look like. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. Istanka Baraisa Bari Alma means God looked into the Torah, this is Aramaic by the way, looked into the Torah and he created the world. It means to say, the Torah is the blueprint for the world. If you look at the Torah, you can see the world. And if you look at the world, you can see the Torah. So much so that there's one of the commentaries that asks the question of the Gemara on Shabbos. The Talmud on Shabbos asks the following question. It says, let's say a person is stranded on a desert island. It doesn't have to be a desert island, but let's say they're stranded on a deserted island, yeah? And they don't know what day it is. When do they keep Shabbos? They don't know what day it is. Could be it's Tuesday, could be it's Friday, could be it's Shabbos. They wake up shipwrecked somewhere, and they're like, where am I? Oh my gosh, how long have I been floating? What's going on here? And then they realize, okay, they have no idea like what day it is. When do they keep Shabbos? We're not talking about fantasy here, right? We're talking about
the 7th day.
Okay, that's a good answer. One of the answers in the Gemara is that we count 7 days.
Well, wouldn't it make more sense to do never?
What do you mean? Why would doing it never make more sense?
Because you don't know which day is
Each
correct.
individual day is improbable for it to be Shabbos, and therefore you don't actually have to do it ever.
Well, wouldn't you say the flip? The day is going to come, so shouldn't you keep it always?
No, because you're allowed to go by the minority, and
Yeah.
well, that's what we
cute.
do. That's what we do with the meat.
What?
That's what we do with meat.
Right, buckle the rope. Yeah?
We just,
That's cute, I like that.
and even if you
That's
keep
very
taking them away, we still go with it.
beautiful. It happens to be the Talmud doesn't give that answer. But that's shticky, I like that. The idea is what? We have a couple of different answers. But that's not even my point. My purpose is to get into what one of the commentators came along and says, I didn't see the question. What do you mean? You don't know what day it is when to keep Shabbos. When Shabbos comes around, you'll feel it. Now, if everyone's on that level, fantastic. You get it? But the point is that one who sensitizes himself to what the world really is about, to the ruchnis, the spirituality, so you sense these things, you live with them. You get it? You could feel tumah, you could feel impurity. The Stipler Gaon, one of the great sages of our time, passed away almost 30 years ago, but the Stipler Gaon, his son's today alive, Chaim Kanievsky, who lives in Bnei Brak. disciple was once sitting in his house, and someone came into the home in another room. And he started yelling, "Get that out of my house!" It was another room. He was enclosed in another room. He said, "Get out of my house!" Someone walked into the house with a newspaper. He said, "Get out of my house!" And it's like, what? Answer is that you could feel it. There's a certain thing you could feel, a kedusha or a tumah. You could feel tumah. What's going on? You could feel this idea. All right, so the idea is what? Is that you feel these things. So this is a question that's asked. Is that, how will you not know? Okay, now we're back to this idea of what we're talking about. Everything is found in the Torah. The Torah is the blueprint of all existence. And here's the sad thing, is that we try to look for other things in life, like not the Torah. It's right in front of you. It's right in front of you. So they asked the Vilna Gaon. They said, really, everything's found in Bereshis? Right? Bereshis being the 5 books of the Torah, Bereshis, Shemos, Vayikra, the first one being Bereshis, and the first parsha said everything is found in Bereshis. So they said, yeah. Where is Pidyon Haben found? Somebody came and asked him, where do you find Pidyon Haben? Efo Pidyon Haben in Parshat Bereshis. Where do you find it? So for those who aren't familiar with Pidyon Haben, that means the redemption of the firstborn son. There's a mitzvah, a commandment that if somebody has, is anyone here a firstborn son? There's no one older than you?
No.
No one? And were you born naturally? In other words, was it a natural childbirth or was it a C-section?
C-section.
Okay, so you're off those, right? But someone was born naturally, first child, and there was nothing beforehand, any sort of miscarriages or whatnot, and you're not a Kohen or a Levi, you're an Israelite. So then, are you a Kohen or a Levi?
No.
Is your mom a Kohen or a Levi?
Nope.
So then, what would happen is they would have to be redeemed. If you have do you have a firstborn son? Have you redeemed him? Better get cracking. Okay, so we'll talk about that. Yeah, it's not so difficult. It's like circumcision is, right? So by redemption, we do the whole thing. I'm just kidding. Right? They did this, whatever again. Yeah, that nonetheless is an idea. So Pidyon Haben is a mitzvah where the firstborn son. What do? Essentially, not much. You give 5 silver coins to a Kohen. You say a couple blessings, and you're good to go. That's the whole ceremony. Yeah, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal, right? It's not a big deal in physicality. It's a big deal in spirituality. All right. So what ended up happening is that they said, where do you find Pidyon Haben in Bereshis? So he goes, Pidyon Haben in Bereshis, right? Because it's not found in Bereshis. The whole story of Pidyon Haben, the redemption, is found later on in the Torah. So he said, you want to know where you find Pidyon Haben in Bereshis? You picked an easy one. That not only is that in Bereshis, that's found in the first word, in the word itself. Let me give you a little more background. Pidyon Haben, when we redeem them, it's supposed to be done on the 30th day from the birth, right? They're born on the 30th, from Chodesh, from a month. That's when you do it. So he said, what are you talking about? What do you think Bereshis stands for? It's an acronym. Ben Rishon Achar Shloshim Yom Tiftet. For those who don't speak Hebrew, I just said, and I'll translate. And that is, Ben means son. Rishon means first. Bet, right? Ben, Reish, Rishon, Aleph, Acher, after 30 days, redeem him. Right? So anyway, nice shtick. But the point is that we find that everything is found in the Torah. So let's take a look at something which is amazing. I'm going to share with you something which, well, I got a self-help book, right? Well, you wasted your money because it's right in the Torah, yeah? And it's online for free. But just take a look. Take a look, says the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos. It's found in chapter 2, Mishnah 1. Whew! Rabbi Omer, says Rabbi Yehuda Hanassi. This is quite a wild idea. It's found in Pirkei Avos. Do you have a Chumash in front of you? You can look in the Chumash. It's not in the Chumash, right? You want to see where it is?
Yeah, I don't believe it.
Okay, that's good. Rabbi Omer. Can't have you read in English, you can read it. Rabbi Omer. I'll just pretend. Says Rabbi, Ezo hi derech yeshara sheyaver lo adam. What is the proper path a person should take? Kol shehi teferes leoseh v'teferes lo min adam. Did I say that right?
I believe so.
Kol shehi teferes leoseh v'teferes lo min adam. Anything which will bring splendor to the one who does it and earn the esteem of others. Yeah? Vehevi zahir b'mitzvah kala k'vachamura. And one should be careful with the light mitzvah as they are in a heavy mitzvah. She'ena tayodea matan schar so mitzvahs. Because you don't know the reward for mitzvahs. Everybody got that? This is important, and I could spend the rest of the time on both of these ideas. I don't want to though, because I want to get to something unbelievable. Right? Then he goes like this. the heaven mechashev, hefseid mitzvah keneged schara, uschar avera keneged hefseida. And one should evaluate the loss you will incur for doing a mitzvah versus what you will gain. Uschar avera keneged hefseida. And that what you will gain for doing a sin versus what you will lose. And just to finish off the Mishnah, v'estakel b'shlosha devarim v'ein ata ba lidei avera. And look at three things, and you won't come to sin. Da mala mala memcha, know what is above you. Ayin ro'eh ve'ozen shomat v'chol ma'asecha b'sefer nechtavim. A watching eye, a listening ear, and everything is being written down. Okay, that's the Mishnah. What I want to focus in on the Mishnah is just this one line. V'heve mechashev hefseid mitzvah keneged schara uschar avera keneged hefseida. What that means is like this. This is what we would call in English a cost-benefit analysis. Right? Everyone's familiar with the cost-benefit analysis? For those who are unfamiliar, I'll make it clear. In any case, in any situation in your life, in any scenario, there's going to be what's called a cost, and there's going to be what's called a benefit. The cost can mean money, it could mean time, it could mean life, it could mean physical life, it could mean your emotional life, it could mean many different things. The benefit is as well. It could mean you benefited time, money, emotional, physical, etc. Now, one of the biggest mistakes I find that people make, right, in this cost-benefit analysis, we essentially have to put what's called our pros and our cons out on the page. But most people, when they put pros and cons onto a page, when I say most, I shouldn't say that, there are people that when they do their pros and cons, even if one is involved in a religion of some sorts, that I find in my experience, most people put physical and kind of forget the idea of spiritual. There's a pro and con going on physically, but there's a pro and con going on spiritually as well. You got to figure out, Ezohi, what are you going to have? What is the hefseid mitzvah keneged schara? Example. I'll give you an example. You want to buy a pair of tefillin, okay? A pair of tefillin costs how much money?
$300.
$300?
Dollars.
$1,000.
Oh,
$1,000?
no, actually
$500?
$500.
I got
$500.
some.
What?
I got some right now, so I'm throwing
Don't meet me up back, 150, right? Okay, so what do we got? Meet me by the wall, you know what I'm saying? I'm saying a little credit for you, you know what I mean? Okay, so the guy like this, yeah? We got to the parents film. It's going to cost between, let's say, $300 and $1,000. Okay, now you can get a pair of film for probably $300-400. Less than that, I'd be a little suspicious whether it's tefillin or just something to be able to hold off the veins for your addiction. Rabbi, the idea is what? Yeah, okay. But the idea of what we have nonetheless is the concept of, let's say, 3, 4, 5. If I'm going to use an average of $500, $500, a lot of money, right? I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys, yeah. And if not, let's speak. But $500, it's don't jump a train. That's some cash we're talking about. Am I going to spend $500 on a pair of black boxes that come from a cow? A couple pieces of parchment made from a cow? Some ink that's made from ink? Am I going to do that? But would I do that? The answer is, well, it depends. You can lose that $500. What are you going to gain? Okay, so let's talk about it. My con. I just lost $500. Here's the crazy thing. If you look at it properly, then we understand the con ends up not even being its con anymore. In other words, what am I going to gain? What's the pro? I'm going to gain eternity. So obviously, someone might say, "Oh, that all depends. Like, if you believe in this stuff, you know what I mean? What if you don't believe in this stuff?" So I'll tell you, my friends, it is irrelevant whether you believe in something. It's irrelevant. Reality is reality. Of course, it's relevant depending on one's life. But what I mean is reality is that regardless of how you feel about something, if something is, it is. In which case, it's worthwhile to figure out what's reality. Anybody get what I just said?
No.
Yeah, I'll give an example. There are a lot of people that say, "Oh, I don't believe God exists. I don't believe Judaism is true. Therefore, I can now do X, Y, Z." There was someone in this room who after the class was eating pretzels, chocolate-covered pretzels. So I said to her, I said, oh, chocolate-covered pretzels. That's code word for, can I have some? Right? So I said, oh, chocolate-covered pretzels. So she goes and she says, yeah, you can't have. And she didn't mean because she didn't want to give me. She meant, oh, you can't have these. I said, why not? She said, they're from Japan. I said, okay, why am I not allowed to have Japanese chocolate-covered pretzels? Right? She said, because they're not kosher or they don't have a kosher symbol. So I said, why did you say I can't have? You also can't have. We both can't have that. She goes, oh no, I'm not religious. I said, that might be. You might not be following what we're supposed to be following. That doesn't mean you're allowed to. Everybody get that? They say, no, but I bless you, but no, but I don't, whatever. People, just because you don't believe in something doesn't mean it's not true. And not only that, there can be miracles when you believe, so it's worth it. But the idea is just because you don't believe doesn't mean it's not true. Is everyone with me on this so far? So therefore it's worthwhile to figure it out. How many people live their life based on the fact that I don't believe in something? Did you look into it enough to make sure that you're correct? And this, my friends, this is where Pascal comes in, and Pascal's wager. Everyone's familiar with Blaise Pascal. Blaise Pascal was a famous fellow. Within the 1600s, was the advisor to King Louis XIV. Was a mathematician as well as a Christian philosopher. Anyone knows Pascal's theorem, right? Pascal's triangle, mathemagic, and that's a technical term. And he considers himself a Christian philosopher. He came up with something called Pascal's wager. He said, even if Christianity is wrong, it's still worth keeping it. Yeah, he goes on explaining whatever the bottom line is, but yeah, it's a nice shtickle. And what I find interesting is that he knew about Judaism, yet he said what he said. If he would have taken it to the max, he would have said Judaism, not Christianity. And that's just my opinion. I'm saying you have to work out the concept of what I mean by that, about what's Pascal's theory, Pascal's wager. But nonetheless, the concept is, people, let's figure it out. Let's err at least on the side of caution. Right? I don't remember if I told this story here or not. There was a fellow that was once in the army, the American Army, and he saw that there was his general bent over once, and he saw on the back of his dog tag, the dog that flipped around, he had a Star of David, a cross, and a Buddha. So he's like, General, permission to speak freely? He's like, granted, right? Thank you. You're welcome. What is going on in the back of your thing? Like, what's going on? Star of David, cross, Buddha. He said, listen to me. I don't know who God is, but I want to make sure he's on my side, right? That's called hedging your bets. Yeah, in which case, what if it is true? So those who live with the reality of it isn't true, until you work that out, that's dangerous. Okay, so let's talk about it. What are you going to gain by putting on tefillin? What are you going to gain? Now, I happen to be focusing in particular on this example. It could be any example. So ladies in the room, please don't be insulted. In any event, if you're a woman of the wall, you're going to be very insulted. If you're not, then you will be less insulted. My idea is what? There's certainly no chiyuv, no obligation. But for a man, at least, to go put on tefillin, what's the gain? What's the benefit? Yeah.
Connection to God.
Oh, baby. We're talking about big connections. Hashem, or heaven, right? You're getting good stuff going on there. Okay, but you're losing $500. The answer is, but it's my pleasure to lose $500 for that. Does anyone look at it like they lost $500 when they bought themselves a Sony PlayStation? I mean, it depends on what your fancy is, yeah? But figure out, fill in the blank. When they bought whatever it was, when they spent money on whatever it was, oh, it was totally worth it. It was totally worth it. It's not even a loss. In which case you end up with no cons. Everybody get that? This whole thing moves over here. But nonetheless, it's considered what's called an objective con, that you're losing money, right? An objective con if someone called you lost money. Okay, so this is what you're going to lose versus what you're going to gain. I want to keep Shabbos. What are you going to lose by keeping Shabbos versus what are you going to gain? Well, I'm going to lose $500, right? Because I could have done a business deal. I could have whatever. What are you going to gain? Now let's flip it. Ready? What are you going to gain by doing this sin versus what are you going to lose? Everybody hears what I just said? What are you going to lose by doing a mitzvah versus what are you going to gain? What are you going to gain by doing a sin versus what are you going to lose? There's four things going on there, right? So let's talk about now the flip of this. Let's talk about a sin. Give me a sin. Please don't make it too sinful.
Traveling on Shabbat.
Traveling on Shabbat. In a car. Driving a car on Shabbat. Okay. Now, what are you going to gain by driving your car on Shabbat? Depends.
A lot of fun at the beach.
Okay, good. You'll have fun at the beach. You can walk there. But okay, you can't. It's too far. Yeah. Or this is a classic. A lot of people will say to me, and I shouldn't be so straight because people get insulted. So again, I want to apologize about my being from New York. But the idea, I'm going to go straight on this, and that's the following. I've had people say the following. Well, what do you want me to do? My mother doesn't live so close to my house. We want to have Shabbat meal together. So I'm going to drive to my mother. Shabbat. What? God wants me not to drive on Shabbat? Come on. Okay, again, he doesn't want to drive on Shabbat, but obviously he wants me to drive to, he wants me to be with my mother, right? The answer is, where'd you get that? Where are you? What? I don't remember God saying, don't drive on Shabbat unless you're going to go to your mother's house. It doesn't say that anywhere. I mean, maybe some people have written it, yeah, but certainly not in the Torah, certainly not in Judaism. But a person will say, listen, what are you talking about? God wants me to have a bad Shabbat, and electricity went off. The food's going to be cold. I'm going to be sitting in the dark. Obviously, it's just a little switch. Come on. Does that even work? Anyway, not going to work on Saturday. I got it. Uncle Moshe's ain't going to work on Saturday. Ain't going to work on Saturday. Okay, I got it. Double, triple pay won't make me work on Saturday. Fine, I got the concept, but seriously, that's not working. I'm just going to flip it up, or I'll accidentally flip it up. Yeah, I'll get my neighbor to accidentally flip it up. I'll pay him after Shabbat, accidentally flip it up. Yeah, so what's the problem? Is that a problem? Yeah, that's a problem. Have a mechashev schar aver keneged hafseda. What are you going to gain? I'm going to gain hot food. Am I turning on that light? Good company. I'm not even talking about vanity of vanities. I'm talking about silliness. Of like, I'll gain a good time. Yeah? It's going to be meaningful. I'll have built a meaningful relationship with my mother, with my relative, with my spouse, with my child, whatever it is. Yeah? So isn't that worth what I'm going to lose? Well, let's see. What are you going to lose? The biggest mistake that I think is made with cost-benefit analysis, and when I say this is not in reference to Judaism, in life, is people don't always understand what the full cost is and or what the full benefit is. Have you ever had a child? Is anyone here, you have a child, right? A child. Does anyone else have children? No? Oh, you have a child? Okay, how old is your oldest?
9, 10.
10? Okay, girl or boy?
Boy.
Oh, she do. When your 10-year-old comes to you to tell you, tate, and you're like, what? And he says, I want whatever it is. And he says, I want this, and I feel although it's gonna this, it's that. You say, your cheshbon is totally messed up. No, in other words, like, it's good for me to stay up late in order to be able to read this book. First of all, the book is not a good book for you, and second of all, it's not good for you to stay up. It's going to mess you up. No, it's okay. I'm only going to be a little tired. No, you're not going to be a little tired. You're going to be a lot tired. So you don't. What's the real loss? What's the real gain? What's the gain of putting on tefillin or doing any mitzvah? I don't know how to. Even if you don't believe what I'm saying, even if you don't believe in what I'm saying, at least hear the words that I'm saying. At least understand in theory the concept of what I'm saying, and that's like this. Eternity, eternal pleasure, whatever you want to call it, 72 strawberries, as the Quran actually says, not as it translated, or whatever it is you're looking for. You're going to get ice cream, you're going to get massages, whatever pleasure means to you. Like the Mishnah says, Mishnah found at the beginning of Pirkei Avos. All of this world doesn't equal up to the amount of pleasure you get for 1 second in the world to come. You know what you get for the world to come? Pleasure, my friends. Think of any pleasure you can even imagine, and now think of ones that you shouldn't be thinking of. Now stop thinking about that, but recognize that's not even going to come to the amount of nothing. It's the nothing to what it means to pleasure in the world to come. What are you gonna gain in the world to come? Doing a mitzvah more than you can ever imagine in this world. What are you gonna lose? Oh. I think for this reason, Flo Rida came along and told us that we're going low. Where are we going? What's going to happen by not doing a mitzvah? Okay, now so to focus on this, but we can't handle it, it's too much, it's not even true, who said, I'm overwhelmed, now I'm going to drop the whole thing. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny when a kid does that? When an adult does that?
An adult, yeah.
Yeah. Like a kid, I heard somebody saying once, when you say to somebody who's an adult, say, stop acting like a child. Acting like a child is the greatest thing you can do, right? Acting like an adult is a mistake, yeah? But yes, one person goes and says, I can't believe that you didn't, buy me that thing. Now I'm gonna break my own other thing. Wow, you really showed them, yeah? There's a guy who came here to Aish. He was from somewhere in the world, and he said one day, how's your trip going? He said, yeah, the dorms they put me in. I was like, are you okay? He's like, no, I'm alright. So I said, what's with the dorms? He's like, I hate the dorms. They're like, it's too cold or it's too hot. I'm like, which one? He's like, both. I'm like, okay. He's like, things are dripping, but there's no water. I'm like, how's it dripping in the water? He's like, I don't know. And he's like complaining about everything. And I said, wow, I'm so sorry that it's like that. He's like, you know what? Because of that, I'm not putting on tefillin today. I'm not going to put on tefillin. I was like, whoa, man, you showed them. You showed them, You should also chop off your arm. That will really get them. You think about it? We get overwhelmed by certain things, and by getting overwhelmed, then we hurt ourselves even more. People, what's reality? We got to figure out what it is, and if it is, it is. And by getting overwhelmed and then going crazy and going the opposite direction, that's not going to help. It's just going to make things worse. Yeah, it's going to make things a lot worse. Okay, so therefore, people don't understand what it means. What are we going to lose? You're going to lose eternity. Think about anything that you love in this world and anything that you want from this world, and you'll never be able to have that. You know what that is? That's hell. That's hell. Not being able to have. I'm not even getting into the fact that the Gemara says hell is hotter than 60 times the hottest flame that exists in this world, and the things that happen, that we burn. Forget that. Let's just talk about straight up emotionally. Not being able to get what you want. So close, yet so far away. That's hell. It's right in front of you, but you can't get it. It's like every movie when they're about to fall off the mountain and there's a branch, it's right out of their reach. And then the green scene shuts off and you realize, they're just standing in front of the screen. But it's right there. People, it's so close, it's so far away. What do you lose by going against the creator of the world? Everything. What do you gain by following it? Everything. Okay, but now we have to put it in real terms, because here's the reality. Now here's where I get spiritual on you. Here's where we're going to do a little kumbaya. We have two aspects of this, and we've discussed this in the past for those who were here, and if you weren't here, we discussed it, you just weren't here. But we're made up of two different components. In some places we discuss as intellect and emotion. We're going to look at it differently. We're made up of two different components. That is our body and our soul. We got a strong battle going on. It's a constant battle. As long as you're alive, it's alive. We got a battle of the body, we got a battle of the soul. The question is, do we want comfort, chilling, relaxing, maxing, cool, shooting some people outside of school? Do we want to be Will Smith? Or do we want to be Josh Groban? You raise me up. Do we want to reach the highest of heights? If you go even higher, Celine Dion. Which one do you want to be? She can get pretty high. Yeah? I don't know Kolisha. But the idea is nonetheless, which one do we want, my friend told me. Now, which one do we want to be? Do we want to live in the physical? Do we want to live in the spiritual? Do we want to live in the physical? Do we want to live in the spiritual? Which one is worth it more? I'll tell you right now, spiritual, by the way. Okay. But which one do we want? This is a battle. So now let's put into there. Spiritually, let's take a look at our desires that we have in our life. There are certain desires that we have in our life that by having these desires, they bring us down physically. They also bring us down spiritually. Your neshama, your soul, how much does your soul want to connect to God? On a 1 to 10 scale, how much does your soul want to connect? On a 1 to 100 scale, how much does your soul want to connect to God?
5.
What?
5.
On a 1 to 10 scale, 1 to 100 scale, how much does your soul want to connect to God?
Her soul?
Yeah, her soul. How much does your soul want? Your soul is dying to connect.
Dying?
Well, that's how you do it, right? The soul wants to connect on the highest of heights. Always. What about your body? Does your body want to connect with God? Does your body want to connect with God?
Yeah.
On a 1 to 100, how much does your body want to connect to God? -3. Now is we're going to get stuck. We're going to get stuck in a certain idea over here. I shouldn't. This is not nice, but I'm going to do it. Without instruction, now it's permitted.
Absolutely.
Okay. Ultimately, the real you is your soul. The way we live our lives is the 70 or 80 years that we're here, or a person lives longer or less, God forbid. It's transient, it comes and goes. The soul's what lives on. I'm going to focus on the concept now of the physical for a moment. Ultimately, we're supposed to tune in and tap into our neshama, to our soul. However, sometimes, to be nice, we I don't know which word I want to look for, associate ourselves with our body. We focus more on our body than we do our soul. Now, in our body state, does the body want to connect to God? I would like to suggest, yes. Even on the body level, if you go to the raw core, just body by itself, so yeah, body by itself is just physical, and it's nothing but that, and it's nothing. It wants just to be here. Soul wants just to be here. But when you put the two together, so now you have something going on. That's what we are. We're the body and the soul together. And so we get the battle of the wills. In terms of you just focusing on the soul, it just wants God, 100. Just in the body, say 0. Some would say -3. That's positive. Right? Then we have the idea of what? Of the mixture of the two, but we're focusing more and we're aligning ourselves more with our body. So yeah, sure, we also want to connect to God. You know? Soul! Yeah, 100%. Alright, now I'll ask you, have you ever had times in your life where you felt, ever had a time in your life where you felt you just want to do good? You just want to connect, you just want to do the right thing. Yeah? I've had times like that. We've had times in our lives when we just don't want anything to do with it. And then we have our average days, which is kind of, we just like living, you know what I'm saying? We're living, you know? I'm like, okay, not so much. So which one is it really you? Is it really your body? Is it really your soul?
Soul.
What's that?
Soul.
Soul? Okay, now, as much as a person will come to understand that or believe that or think that, that's how much they're going to now affect their decision-making process. If you align yourself with your body as your physical thing, so what happens, you're going to make your decisions based off your body. If you align yourself with your soul, you're going to make decisions based off your soul. If you're a mixture of both, then you're going to have a mixture of both. Now the question is, well, which one are you closer to? So let's talk about food. Talk about kosher food. You want to eat food, kosher food. You make a bracha. How much should you eat? I'm not even getting the idea. Let's start. Let's start. Okay, good for us. If you can, right? You want some good tongue or whatnot, right? It's like, how much should you eat? Let's not even start with the idea of, is it permitted to eat the food or not? No, it's a battle of whether you eat the cheeseburger, the Philly cheesesteak, or I don't. It's a battle of filet mignon, or I have the idea of mix a little bit of butter, right? Or I go ahead and I don't. It's a battle now. Let's say I'm eating kosher, whether they make a bracha or not. You eat kosher, you make a bracha. How much should you eat? So your body or your soul? Your body or your soul? If you're a body, go ahead, eat whatever you want. If you're a soul, eat whatever is necessary. Eat whatever is necessary, and then you move on. Yeah.
I don't think it's that. I think you should eat as much as you possibly can. The problem's not with how much you eat, it's that you don't then use that. But if you were serving Hashem like crazy, like a lion, or however you say it, and a leopard and an eagle, and you have to eat a ton. But we don't eat that ton because we're not actually doing what
Let's say you ate that ton. Okay? Should you have the second ton?
if we can use it.
If you can't.
No.
Great. Just want to say that.
Yeah.
But I'd say it now is how much do we owe? What do we put into? This is why it's brought down in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Reish Lamed Aleph, sign 231. And over there it says the Shulchan Aruch Shekol Kavod. It's also Mishnah Pirkei Avos as well, chapter 2. It says Shekol Kavodasav Yiyu L'Shem Shema Wee Wa 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 Yim. All of your intentions, all of your thoughts should be done for the sake of heaven. Everything a person does. I think police said it. Police, a sting, right? Every step you take, Right? 17. V'chol ma'asecha yiyu l'shem shamayim. All of your actions should be done for the sake of heaven. Everything. What does that mean, all of your actions? What are all of your actions? Give me an example of your actions.
Your work, your hobbies.
Give me one example.
Smoking.
Smoking. You always manage to pick one.
Pot.
Smoke what?
He said it. He said smoking, you would say hashish, yeah? No, let's talk about, give me an example of something.
Now, how do you do that for the sake of?
Give me an example of your actions. What?
You do charity.
Charity. Give me another one. Give me another one.
Going to sleep.
What?
Going to sleep.
Good. That's what I'm looking for. You're too intense for me. You're too holy. Give me an example of an action you do, but please keep it kosher. Give me a verb.
You can go run.
Running. Anything else? Traveling. More.
Eating.
Eating. Give me an example of an action you do during your day.
Driving to work.
Driving to work. Give me an example. You said driving to work. Okay, we'll use it in a minute. Give me an example of something you do during your day. Exercise. Speak.
Parenting.
Parenting. What do you got?
Learning.
Learning.
Sitting. Right? Learning. Give me something.
Filming.
What? Filming. Woo! How can you pick that one? Shekol kavod asav. You give me an example. Writing. You see, when you're talking like Judaism about things, right? You're talking Yiddishkeit, so it's like, all you actually done for the sake of tzedakah, learning Torah, davening, tefillin, mitzvos, walking, eating, writing, driving, sleeping, cold looking, listening, chewing, speaking, thinking. Shekol kavanosav yiyu l'shem shamayim. All of your actions should be done for the sake of heaven. Rabbi Yonah, as we mentioned before, picked up on that Mishnah, Shekol kavanosav yiyu l'shem shamayim, on the very one of Beis Yutain, biz, because that's your business. Comes along and says, what? Don't forget it, biz. Says what? This is what biz is about. Biz about. He goes through all the examples of eating, walking, sleeping, talking. He says, take these concepts. It's amazing. What's amazing is, it's just a shift of mentality. Some things I tell you, like, okay, ready? You want to lose 100 pounds. What you need to do is you need to work out for 3 hours a day and eat only proper foods, etc. Whoa! That's hard. It's hard work. Let me share with you how easy it is to shift your life from being selfish to connecting. You don't have to change anything you're doing. Or maybe you do, I don't know what you guys do. Right? Maybe there are things you need to change. But in terms of you're walking, you're talking, you're sleeping. When you go to sleep, why do you go to sleep at night? Why do you go to sleep at night? Say again. No, stop. Really? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
When you're about to go to bed, you go, I'm now going to sleep in order to get up the next morning.
Yeah. Of course. Because otherwise you couldn't do anything.
Whether it's thinking it, whether it's subconscious.
I mean, that is
Okay, my question isn't subconscious. I'm asking you conscious.
Nobody actually thinks about why they're going to sleep before they go to sleep.
I want to tell you something. Last night, I very much thought about why I went to sleep. What do you think it was?
You're tired.
I was unbelievably tired. I said, I need to go to sleep, I'm tired. I didn't say, I need to go to sleep, because tomorrow is a new day.
I mean, that's,
Okay, so you're saying the subconscious, you're giving a shear already. I want honesty here, not a shear. Why do you go to sleep? You go to sleep because you're tired. But subconscious there's a lot of things going on, yeah? But consciously, why do you go to sleep? When you eat something, why do you eat?
You're hungry.
Nah, it's because you're bored. That's usually what it is. Well, let's say because you're hungry, yeah? Because you're hungry, because you're bored. Why do you walk somewhere? Why do you go to work?
You have to.
Because you're in your routine already. You don't think about it. But why did you go the first time? Yeah, because you had to. But you know what? You probably didn't even have to at first. You wanted to. Why'd you want to? You wanted to feel grown up. Go all with that. All with that. Why'd you start? Okay, whatever the example would be. But the bottom line is like this. Why do I go to sleep? Let's make some clear examples. I go to sleep because I'm tired. I eat because I'm hungry. true. Now, let's talk about this. Did anyone here not sleep last night at all? Zero. All of you slept. Okay. If you would have slept less than you slept, if you would have slept zero, do you think that you would be able to be as attentive as you are right now?
Maybe more.
So there's a reality. What's that?
I think I can.
You think what?
If I don't sleep, something on a day, I don't so it has to function on
2 days. 3 days.
nothing.
10 days. You die. Yeah. But the point is, after not sleeping for a day, it's going to have an impact. If you did not eat anything today, some of you maybe didn't. If you hadn't eaten the past 24 hours or 48 hours, would that affect the way you live? Absolutely. So watch this. Why are you going to sleep? Because you're tired. That's true. But you know why else? In order to have the strength to be able to do something more than I'm doing today. Now that might not be true, but it might be true. And if it is true, it's true. It's not a lie. It's not a game. You know what I'm eating? To be able to have the koach, the power, to be able to study and to learn and to grow. Is that my intention when I eat usually? No. Could it be? And is it true? Yeah. Because if I didn't, I wouldn't be able to do this. All you gotta do is flip it. Kol kavanah of Yishem Shamayim. Okay, we did get a little bit off, but it's not really off. It's an extension. At the end of the day, getting back to what we're saying now is Kol kavanah of Yishem Shamayim is based off the concept of. Now we get back to your cost-benefit analysis. What is your decision-making process? What is your con and your pro? What is it? To a Jew, it's one thing. Rabbi Nachman said it beautifully. I have this on the back of my door. It was on the back page of Family First Mishpacha magazine, where they have quotes. And it was a quote something along the lines of, and that's why I put it on my door. Is it going to bring you closer to God or further away from God? That's it. If it's going to bring you closer to God, go for it. If it's going to bring you further away, don't do it. And every decision we have in our life has an impact on that question.
What if I say, hey, I want the chicken or the fish?
Go on.
We have a choice what's the way or the other. You know, there's certain things which, let's say something, an activity that's maybe not so close, which I don't want to bring up per se, but that could bring you closer, that could bring you further away.
Okay, so very good. The question, you know what? It's not me. Chicken or fish, no difference. Assuming there's no difference, right?
Right.
In your example you're giving me, if they're all both kosher and you're not mixing milk and meat or whatever it is, or meat and fish and whatever that kind of stuff, and all that kind of stuff, and it's just a question of whether I'm eating in order to get closer to Hashem, to build up my koach. Now it's a matter of, well, chicken or fish.
Chicken, fish is live.
Okay, so ultimately, but if they're exactly the same, then you wouldn't even have a thought about it. You would just have one or the other. Why is there that there's a difference of choice between chicken and fish? Because one of them I want more than the other. Okay, so then you have to ask yourself the following question. Should I be working on myself and not just getting everything I want? Just having whatever it is. In which case now we're back to the question. Chicken or fish might be a big difference. Chicken, I'm giving into my temptations and my desires. I want the chicken more than the fish. People, this is already getting very dark. This is getting very specific, and that's okay. I didn't want to go there right now, but ultimately, this is getting very, very specific. If you want to go to the depth, then yes, what is the reason you want the chicken over the fish and the fish over the chicken? There's a reason. You're connected to it subconsciously in some way. Nobody's going to try to figure out what it is. And if they're actually the same, then you don't even should have a question. It's just whatever's closer. Yeah? Okay. So people, let's just recap the whole thing at one point and go. So we're starting to get understand the concept of what happens coming on to the Mishnah, Fach with the Kula Ba, everything's in there. Everything's in the Torah. Oh yeah, what do you find with Pidyon Ben? What do you mean? The very first word, Ben, I was an easy one. Give me something. That's what it says, whatever, no, Shabbos. You feel it. What do you mean feel it? Just get the feeling. That tonight's gonna be a good night. Shabbat. Everybody feels that idea. Instead, you're just gonna feel it. Well, you're two with it, not two with it. You spiritual architect, nah. I mean, we was a spiritual architect. You're the spiritual architect. That was the name of the usage thing. Let me go a little further. It says the Mishnah Perkei, chapter 2, Mishnah 1, says, Rabbi, always there, Shosha, and all close to first, so that testimony, other maybe some Mexican, the Shed, the Matt, the Church, the Sin, the Happy, the Happy, the Discuss, the Okay, the one thing I want to focus on is why can't I take a look? What are you going to lose by doing this? What are you going to gain? What are you going to gain? What are you going to lose? Take a look. However, let's get a clear picture of what that means. Don't be stuck in your fantasies about the concept of what's real and what's not real. Understand what's really the cost, what's really the benefit. What's the cost? Are you closer or further away from Hashem? What's the benefit? Are you closer or further away from Hashem? That's what it comes down to, baby. Let's stand up in. Yeah. And we start doing that, all of a sudden it starts to change a little bit. Oh, but I want differently. We blind ourselves. The reality is the benefit of your body and your soul. When we get too close to the concept of the body, all of a sudden we start to be blinded, but what's the ultimate cost? What's the benefit? When we get too close to the soul, it's going to be starting to what's going on there. People ultimately, the guys is connected to what the soul is about, aligning our physical needs with our spiritual ones. And we put this in line, all of a sudden life is incredible. Eternity and everything. Okay, then it's chicken or fish. Does it make no difference? Then make no difference. But if it makes a difference, then it makes a difference. Kol kavod asoni sheishamayim, all you're actually doing for the sake of having people living with this one exercise, and that is when you eat today, or when you go to sleep, one of the two. You want to do both, you're welcome to, but you have to do one of the two. You don't have to do anything, do whatever you want, but you have to do for homework purposes, and as you want to do, then don't. Stop a moment and think, I'm doing this, I'm hungry, I'm doing this, I'm tired, I'm doing this, tomorrow's another day, could be, I'm not going to do whatever, I don't do that, I'm doing it hungry and tired, but I'm also doing it because I want to be able to gather my strength and be able to grow. And then we start to shift from the idea of just for me to come to some. Okay, been a pleasure. See what I see. I'll take your hand and hold for that.